All right, we are back. Thank you. We have a treat for you. This is going to be the first DC 7-Eleven that the 7-Eleven boys tackle. This 7-Eleven is located in the Deanwood neighborhood on the intersection of Nanny Helen Burroughs and 49th Avenue. It was actually the first
Northeast.
Yes.
Is that in the Dean? I don't think that's in the Deanwood area.
It's in Deanwood. I looked at, yeah, it's in Deanwood.
Okay, you did. We have confirmation on that?
Yeah, can I restart because I was going somewhere.
Sorry, go on.
All right. Let me do the whole thing
again. Yeah.
Where did you cut me off when I said the name of the street?
Yeah, we might as well just start from the beginning, I guess.
God damn it. Okay. Now I'll cut it.
Well, it's funny because it was legitimate. I legitimately just did want to know. I didn't think it was in the Deanwood area. So
it is.
I wasn't doing that to fuck with you. But anyway, okay.
All right. Let me I'm just going to start at the name of the street. This 7-Eleven is located at the intersection of 49th Avenue and Nanny Helen Burroughs in the Deanwood area. And
Northeast.
This is in, God damn it, Connor. I was going to mention it.
Oh.
I was going somewhere. Had a point that I was going to finish.
All right. Sorry. I'll let you go completely unabated.
All right. This 7-Eleven is located on the intersection of 49th Avenue and Nanny Helen. Fuck it. See, now you made me fuck up.
I just want to let you know my mic is up, so I can't say anything. I can't interrupt you, or not right now, but now I'm going to put it up. Now.
This 7-Eleven is located on the intersection of 49th Avenue and Nanny Helen Burroughs, Northeast DC, in the Deanwood area, and it was actually the first in a conga line-esque series of 7-Elevens that we visited on this fateful Friday afternoon. Connor, do you want to set the scene for us? How did we approach and choose this 7-Eleven in particular? What were we actually looking for to start on this fateful day?
Yeah, so we were originally looking for what is probably not literally looking for it, but we were driving to what was probably the sketchiest 7-Eleven in the entire DC metro area, which was, I should say, on Eastern Avenue Northeast and Division Avenue, right off of Sheriff Road, right on the DC side of the DC PG County border.
Now, why do you use the past tense? Why do you use the word was?
That's a wonderful question, Nick. The reason I'm using past tense here is because when we arrived at this 7-Eleven, not only was the entire parking lot fenced off with a very tall fence, but it was all boarded up. It's gone. The Division Avenue 7-Eleven is gone.
And I don't exactly know what year this particular 7-Eleven closed. All I know is that once we pulled up, not only were we crestfallen, but we were hard-pressed to find a proximal 7-Eleven within the DC limits. It was actually a while before we ended up roundabouting that. We actually went all the way back to East Capitol, almost to the Benning Road Bridge, and then sort of did a little U-ey and ended up at the 7-Eleven that we're talking about now. Which
hold on. Well, I had a real quick thing I wanted to say about the Division Avenue 7-Eleven, rest in peace.
Go for it.
Is that I especially did not expect it to be gone because I had done preliminary research on it by reading all of its Google reviews a couple months earlier, many of which were very recent. And they were pretty heavy on the aspect that I've always noticed of this 7-Eleven, or what was there. Well, I guess it's still a 7-Eleven in death as well. But there was a lot of drug activity going on in that parking lot. And
No
They
kidding.
were not shy about mentioning that in these awful Google reviews. But it's gone, and I hopefully the local drug dealers are hanging out at, I believe it's Uncle Lee's liquor store was the name of the liquor store, one of many liquor
Uncle
stores in the
Lee's
area.
Liquor. I'm looking at the map right now. Uncle Lee's Liquor.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. I've been there before, back in the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't actually know if they hang out at Uncle Lee's, so I just want to be for the record.
Yeah. As
I
of
know
now, we didn't really see anybody hanging around when we
there was
pulled
a
up.
guy in a ski mask walking up,
Oh yeah, well that's normal.
but yeah, it was just typical sketchy shit. Anyway, we were lucky enough to accidentally stumble upon the very nice 7-Eleven that we did go to. Nick, take it away.
I want to say something, and I have nothing but positive feedback for the folks over at the Nanny Helen Burroughs 49th Avenue 7-Eleven. I mean, talk about wow. Let me tell you. Have you ever been to a 7-Eleven and they roll out the welcome wagon? We walk in, we pull up, and the employees there immediately shout, "Welcome." I don't think I've ever experienced that, or if I have experienced it, it certainly was not as memorable as their demeanor was. Connor, do
No,
you co-sign this?
I do. And let me speak on that real quick, Nick, because we were in total agreement. And by the way, I do want to point out that I understand how this show is perceived, but we are being sincere in this moment.
We are being 100% sincere. There's
not
no
as sincere.
Oh.
Not as sincere as the employee that welcomed us when we came in, because that was now I've had some begrudging like, "Hey, welcomes," but this was like legitimately friendly, like bubbly, warm, like, "Hey, welcome."
Yes.
Like very casual. It didn't feel like he didn't seem to, he seemed to be the guy who was running the show over there.
Totally.
It didn't seem like he was doing it as some kind of policy thing. It just seemed legitimate.
He was in a very good mood at the least, because I felt very warm and touched when I walked in there, touched by an angel in some ways. And I understand that this is maybe coming across because of my natural disposition as maybe facetious or sarcastic or flippant, but no, I'm being 100% serious. And I was not having a great day. Like I took off early from work to do this experience, and that if you're my employer, you didn't hear that, but I was not having the best of days. So I mean, it really was welcome, and it only got better from there. The layout of the store was really nice. The employees were assisting the customers on how to file like a formal complaint with 7-Eleven corporate over what, I'm not sure, but that demonstrates proactive management, which I really appreciate, especially when, being, just alive today, you run into some really rundown absentee 7-Elevens, especially when it comes to, finding any sort of assistance. So to see such, courageous leadership being done over at the Nanny Helen Burroughs 7-Eleven really was special.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I was blown away. There were also a lot of employees actively stocking the fridge, stocking the shelves.
Nick, there's a great employee to customer ratio.
And things were well stocked, but they weren't just piled up everywhere either, like another 7-Eleven that we went to that day. Everything was kind of where it was supposed to be. I believe, Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you said the drinks were cold.
The drinks were quite cold. Temp check. They passed the temp check.
And I got to sample the coffee. We'll talk about that later. But I will say, actually, I think I assume he was the manager. What he was telling a customer, or possibly just another employee who wasn't in a uniform, was how to make a formal complaint against the trash pickup company because they were having some issue with them. But either way, he was very proactive management.
Yes, and Couldn't agree more. All the customers too were seemed to be in a good mood. I don't know, the vibes were just really excellent. And another thing that I don't think I've ever seen at a 7-Eleven, and you can chime in on your own experience. Every single Slurpee flavor was full. There was no red lights flashing. It was incredibly well oiled, I would say. I don't know if I've ever seen that. You usually see at least one or two flavors that are completely empty, but
Oh, well,
this was full throttle.
I mean, usually it's not, it's maybe one flavor that's even, they're all runny, straight liquid. If that, I
Yes,
mean, it's just nothing but high fructose corn syrup.
especially
And I mean,
nowadays.
yeah. And I mean, it's basically like a McDonald's, McFlurry machine,
Pretty
but at
much.
this one, and I saw it too, I witnessed it with my own eyes. It was glorious. Uh, all of them, it were ready to go. I don't really know
Yes.
the correct descriptive adjectives to use for a ripe Slurpee machine, but
Yes.
it was beautiful. I didn't
It
get a
was
Slurpee. I wish
tender.
I had. I wish I had. I went for a coffee,
I got a
and
Slurpee. I was over
I
coffee by that point.
do you want me to talk about the coffee now, Nick?
Yeah, I was gonna get some coffee, but I considered the notion to be played out by that point in the day. So you can go ahead and talk about the coffee.
Yeah, and I will say, I ended up drinking way too much coffee, and later that day having a little bit of a caffeine overdose situation.
Yeah,
But it was
he
okay.
was.
I survived it. The only gripe, otherwise, this is, by the way, going to be on my end a gripeless episode, a gripeless review.
Right.
But my only gripe was that, and albeit this was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the coffee was warm. It was actually perfect drinking temp,
Mm,
but it wasn't hot. And normally I wouldn't care. It's just the kind of thing where if you don't drink it right away, it is going to get cold. That's not really their fault. It was also one of the flavors, the better ones, the blueberry flavor, which usually runs out by
yes.
this time of the day. So that
Yes.
being said, I'm not, docking them any points for this. It was
Yes.
still fine. It was perfect temperature to drink. Another thing I
Yeah.
want to point out was that we were not only welcomed by friendly staff at the 7-Eleven, but even the panhandler out front was friendly.
Yes, she was
And
very respectful, very polite.
yes, and so much, in fact, that when I came outside and, as I promised, gave her change, which was not a lot, by the way, I gave her a quarter and a nickel, 30 cents for you math whizzes out there. She thanked me quite sincerely and profusely then. And then later, after we were loitering in the parking lot, eating bananas and taquitos for 20 minutes, she gave me a follow-up thank you. And not like another, like, hey, let me ask for more. She didn't ask for anything additional. She just gave me a follow-up thank you from the
Yes.
earlier thank you. It was unbelievable. I mean, this is
Quite,
the best
quite
7-Eleven in
impressive.
DC.
Quite unprecedented. It's the best 7-Eleven experience I've had in a very long time. And I think it speaks to it that we were hanging out there for so long. One, it was a beautiful day, and it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was bespoke conditions outside. So we were having a really good time in the weather. And two, I mean, I couldn't really think of any deltas. And even the coffee thing, I mean, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm not gonna dock it too much for that.
No, I won't dock it at all. And then the only real cosmetic issue, it was a newer I'm pretty sure it's a pretty new 7-Eleven, which would
Seemed
also
like
explain why everything's working so well. But
it.
it did look like the glass on the door had been like shot at or smashed.
Yeah,
Um,
something happened, but I
but it
mean,
was still intact. It was just,
yeah,
it was just
it
kind of,
was functional, but a little aesthetically unappealing. However, again, I don't think that's a delta, especially considering just how pleasant it was just to be there in general. Compared to
if
pretty much
anything,
anywhere.
it added character.
It did.
Because otherwise it would be too perfect. It's like how some Islamic artisans when making a rug, for example, always make one intentional small mistake because nothing is supposed to be perfect.
You're right. Nothing is perfect except the divine. That's a sentiment we can all take.
We might have to edit that out. I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble. But
I think we keep that in. We suddenly just become, Quran reading podcasts. I think we could see that pivot.
We can add that segment in.
Yes. Okay. Quran readings with Nick and Connor. The other thing I want to mention, there were February bees, first bees of the season I saw at the 7-Eleven. Not a knock against them, but just a note. And I want to segue that into the taquito time. 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 Taquito time to talk about the absolutely voluptuous buffalo roller, the most voluptuous buffalo roller I think I've ever had. This thing was all meat, no filler, folks. This was outstanding, splendid, quite plump, and delicious. I was so happy.
Yeah, I recall seeing your face while you were eating it, and what I can only describe as unrestrained joy.
Unrestrained joy. I would say cosmic joy in some ways. I was experiencing otherworldly things because, I mean, this was just the icing. I was looking for something to dislike about the 7-Eleven because I'm a negative person by nature, just who I am. But I sincerely just had the best time at this 7-Eleven, and couldn't have done it without you and everyone who supports the channel, supports the Patreon. Please support the Patreon. And yeah, just no notes on that. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I love this 7-Eleven. And this is going to be a new debuting segment. Also, by this time, you would have heard the new Taquito Time jingle. Shout out Delaware Dan for sending us that jingle.
Delaware Dan.
But now I'm introducing a new segment, Banana Time.
Banana time.
And we'll probably eventually make a little jingle for that. But
we will.
I got bananas. I got bananas at this 7-Eleven. And I want to also point out the bananas were ripe, not way too ripe, but very ripe, but not too ripe. And I believe they actually sold them to me for 3 for $129. And it seemed like they made up that price on the spot because they seem to, and this is something we'll continue to talk about in future episodes. It seems like a lot of times when it's not outright listed on a sign, whatever employee is ringing you up decides the price of the bananas, which sometimes is as much as $1 for one, and sometimes you're getting like 3 for one or more.
I know, it's so inconsistent. It's really funny. I guess that's what happens with franchisees. The banana question is something I think we should keep that thread going because it really is so inconsistent. I'm so happy you made that observation.
But I think I think with the actual issue is that it's based on the ripeness of the bananas.
Yes.
I think that what happens is once they're getting too ripe, they're just trying to move them. They're just trying to liquidate.
Yep.
Get those bananas out to bring new bananas in. But back to these particular,
they're just throwing them away. Exactly.
Yeah, and these bananas were ripe. I don't know how I'm going to review the banana, but it was,
talk about the skin.
The skin, the peel.
Yeah, the skin. That is that not what I said?
You said the skin,
right,
which is confusing. No, it's not the same thing.
I disagree.
Okay, we'll move on from that.
I don't want to start a thing here.
It peeled quite easily, not too hard. I didn't have to mush the banana. There was no mushing, which is a good sign. It was very ripe, but again, not too ripe.
Not too
And
bad.
the banana melted in my mouth. It was a wonderful banana. I mean, I had several, and I believe I
Yes.
ate at least 2 of them that day.
Fab, fab.
I know for sure I ate one and even used it as a phone in the parking lot.
Did we have photo confirmation of this?
But
And we put one on the hood of my car.
we did. It was a great banana.
Great.
I'll get bananas there again. And you know what? I'd buy anything at that 7-Eleven because it's just a great 7-Eleven.
We shall return. We shall return. Listen, I think this is going to be an easy review. Vibes, 7 out of 7. Quality, 10 out of 11. And I'll tell you why it's 10 out of 11. I feel like the perfect 7-Eleven is perhaps, this goes back to your imperfection argument. I think it is fundamentally unachievable in some ways until I see the way of the light and find that perfect 7-Eleven. Because, there were a couple things, but this was probably as good as it gets when it comes to 7-Elevens. But the vibes definitely maxed out, especially given the context. But 10 out of 11 for the overall rating.
And that's interesting, Nick, because I would say I did see the light, and the light was this 7-Eleven. I'm going to give it also 7 out of 7 for the vibes. Those vibes were immaculate. And I'm not even, again, we're not being facetious here.
No, we're not.
I was blown away.
There.
The staff was friendly, and it was I'll also say staff was very diverse. It seemed like local people and immigrants. It was a good,
yes.
It was nice. That neighborhood seems like they got some cool things going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was
a great day.
It was great. And I'm also including the panhandler in this because she alone made it for me. And I would probably, if it weren't for her, and if there weren't any panhandlers at all, because I feel like the telltale sign of a healthy 7-Eleven is panhandling, and it does to me. I want to see panhandling, is part of the vibe, and I'm going to give it 7 out of 7. But as I alluded to, I saw the light. This was a perfect 7-Eleven. I'm going to give it 11 out of 11, which is unprecedented. No one's ever done this before, but I am doing it today.
This is a new first for us. I appreciate and respect your opinion. This is a very respectful episode.
And I think it's okay that you only gave it 10 out of 11.
Okay, I appreciate your sign off. No more notes on this one. Go if you're ever in the Deanwood area and you need a bite, you need a drink, or you just want to hang out somewhere cool.
It's nowhere near the metro station. I do want to just point that out. It's not near the Deanwood metro station.
No, it is it's on the edge of Deanwood, I would say, because Nanny Helen Burroughs is kind of, I guess, more of the real estate border of Deanwood. We were kind of talking about that, but
it's a little bit closer to the Minnesota Avenue metro station. If you were going to, I mean, you wouldn't want to walk there from either of those or even Benning Road. You wouldn't want to walk there from any of these stations.
It's honestly, it's like almost right in the middle between like where the blue and silver line would be and the Minnesota Avenue station, because they're
on the orange line.
Yeah, on the orange line, because they're kind of inconvenient. It's pretty close to Marvin Gaye Park, if anybody has any sort of, orientation of where that would be. So if you're ever around, I don't know, Fairmount Heights for any reason, or, just detouring off East Capitol Street, I don't know.
If you're driving up Dick Street to buy heroin, stop in this 7-Eleven.
Come on down. I'm sure they'd be happy to break your dollar bill for you if you need it, All right. Now for illegal crimes.
Illegal crimes. Oh yeah, illegal crimes. These crimes are in fact illegal. Illegal crimes.
I totally forgot to say that I wanted to be like, yeah, I've been a long time listener, first time caller. Thanks. I forgot to put that in there. Maybe you can just put that in later.
We'll fix it in post.
This is a tale from October of 2020. At the time, my girlfriend had just lost her sister, where she was originally planning to go out to Oregon to do some weed work. And she was on her way out there and then got the call that her sister passed away. So she came back and dealt with all that. And then at that point, she basically expressed that she didn't want to drive back across country alone. So I agreed to go with her, being 2020 and COVID being all the rage. You know, I didn't have shit going on. So I agreed to go with her and go do some weed work too, because I wasn't doing shit else. So we drove cross country, got out to Oregon, had a couple friends that were working at the farm. Our one friend, Lindsay, it was her birthday, I believe, October 19th, the date of the incident. But so she had been working out on the farm before he had gotten there. She had worked on multiple properties that these people had owned because they had a large operation. So they had things split up from different properties, different crews at different properties. So she was familiar with all of them. My girlfriend Megan and I had just gotten there and had only been at the first property. So we hadn't met anyone else that had been working for them anywhere else. So basically for Lindsay's birthday, she decided to invite all of the trimmers from the other properties to come bowling. We ended up going to this bowling alley. We got there fairly late, but by the time we got there, we'd basically been told that the bowling alley was telling us we're on thin ice and threatening to kick us out. It being COVID and all, they were trying to say that people weren't wearing their masks properly, though they were. And it was just moments when they were eating and drinking is that they were trying to say people were breaking the rules. I'm also going to mind you, this is a Southern Oregon establishment. And I'd say about 75% of the people that were there bowling were not wearing masks whatsoever.
They weren't big fans of the masks out there.
Yes. They weren't wearing any mask whatsoever. And
can we say what city this was, where the bowling alley is, since it's not, it's not near where the farm was?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll tell you where the farm was. Fuck them.
Fuck.
I mean, yeah, the city was Medford, Oregon.
Which is also known colloquially as Methford.
Methford, yes, I have heard such name. But, so yes, the bowling alley in Methford did not like the trimmers, essentially. They could smell the Riz on us. They weren't feeling it. They didn't like us. It was basically solely them singling us out because we were just oozing with Riz at the time. They knew that we were fucking people from weed farms, and they just didn't like us. So yeah, large percentage of the population in this fucking bowling alley were not wearing masks whatsoever. When we had actually brought that up to the bowling alley employees, they explained to us that they were part of a bowling league, meaning they had special privilege and they didn't have to wear masks during the midst of a pandemic because they pay extra money to be in a bowling league. Pretty silly.
No, that makes sense. You can't get a deadly virus if you pay extra to bowl like a loser.
If you're in a bowling league, you're immune from any sort of respiratory illness. It's true.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I found out that thing. Completely enlightened to that because I was very confused at first why we were being singled out.
Something about Napoleonic law.
But yeah, everyone was. They were all wearing their masks. It was just moments where they were eating and drinking, and whenever you would turn around, the bowling alley employees would be eyeing us up, and then one of them would come over and be like, "Y'all aren't wearing masks, and like if you do that again, you guys are out of here." But so one of the gentlemen that was at this fucking gathering that came from another property, He was kind of a co-owner of this operation. He was a strange libertarian 30-something-year-old dude named Steve. Steve is definitely a bit of a troll, and at the time was leaning really hard into being into Trump, just to piss people off, essentially.
Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, is this the guy, the guy who talked like this, who you kept drawing dicks on his car?
No, that was fucking Corey. That little
Yeah, right, Corey. Yeah, okay.
God, fuck that kid. No, this his name was Steve. Steve and I think we may have just formed a trauma bond. I didn't mind him so much for being a fucking libertarian, fucking Trump fanatic, but I gathered later from just inquiring that he essentially didn't really like Trump. He just kind of liked pissing people off, and the only reason he was seriously backing him was because he knew that if Republicans stayed in office, weed would not be federally legalized, and he did not want it to be federally legalized because he was profiting off of a black market weed operation. So that was his whole reasoning for his leaning towards liking Trump.
I remember this guy now, by the way. That's right. I met him later on. Yeah.
Yeah. So anywho, this guy Steve was there. There had been tension with all the other fucking workers at the farm with him due to his love of wearing his Donald Trump hat to work all the time. A lot of the trimmers and other employees were people of color, Latinos and such. And yeah, no one liked it. It just pissed people off, and Steve kind of thrived on that. But when we arrived at the bowling alley, we'd been informed that the group that we were joining was already on thin ice. There was definitely some weird fucking tension within the group with Steve being present, because Lindsay had invited him for her birthday because she was pretty fond of him. So anywho, we probably were at the bowling alley for all of 15 minutes, and then we finally got the boot where the bowling alley employees came over and they're like, "That's it. You guys aren't wearing your fucking mask. You need to get the fuck out. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and you are not paying to be in a bowling league, so get out." So we all start leaving. We end up out front, and there's two dudes that I believe they're Latinos that were trimmers that basically ended up confronting Steve, and they just started arguing with him about the Trump hat and just like implying that he was a racist. So they just start fucking this heated argument out front of this bowling alley that already fucking hated us, and it basically already said to get the fuck out already. Like, we're going to call the police on us to begin with. So on our way out, it was a great time to start some sort of heated argument out front on the sidewalk. So a fist fight almost ensues between them. It gets broken up. The bowling alley police come out and they say, "We called the police. They're on their way. Get the fuck out of here." At that point, Lindsay's birthday party is completely ruined. But we're like, "Oh, well, what can we do to keep the ball rolling for the evening? It's still early." So we're like, why don't we just get a motel and just like all go hang out there and drink beer? So I took it upon myself to get a fucking Motel 6 room in Medford. And I was like, whatever, it's fine. Like, we'll all just cram in there and drink beer. It'll hang out. It'll be fun. So we're kind of discussing it with the group, but then, people are just saying that they don't want to be around this guy, Steve. So essentially it seems like not many people are going to come. But I'd already booked the room, so I said, fuck it, we're doing it anyways. There was this girl that when we first showed up at the bowling alley was standing next to this guy, Steve, that we assumed was his girlfriend. My girlfriend had previously met his girlfriend before, and apparently she looked kind of similar. So she was like, I don't know, I think it's Steve's girlfriend. As we are all en route to the Motel 6, Steve is in our car with us, and we're like, "Oh yeah, we invited your girlfriend," and he was like, "That wasn't my girlfriend." So then it became apparent that she was just some random trimmer that was there. So yeah, it ended up just being my girlfriend Megan, I, the girl Lindsay whose birthday it was, this guy Steve, and then this random girl named Sharon. Sharon drove a short bus that she converted to live in. She was built like olive oil, like very tall, lanky, just noodly, hippy dippy looking, like 30-something-year-old woman. Look very West Coasty granola, someone that you find on a
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, what would you say her drug of choice was?
At the time, I knew nothing about this person. When we had invited her to this motel shindig, we just assumed that this was dude's girlfriend. So yeah, literally knew absolutely nothing. I had no conversation with her beforehand, but she was one of the people willing to go hang out with us, so it was fun. So I get to the motel. On the ride there, we figure out that Steve doesn't really know who this girl is, so it's like, all right, weird, whatever. But 90% of the group all split off because they don't want to be around Steve's fucking libertarian Trump loving ass. So it's just the small group of us. And it's like, fine, that's cool. We're just all gonna go hang out and drink beer in this fucking motel. It'll be fine. When I check in, the dude at the fucking counter that works there is just kind of eyeing me up super fucking hard the second I walk in. And then he proceeds to thoroughly explain all of the rules of the Motel 6, which I've stayed in many Motel 6s and I've never gotten a fucking rule rundown during check-in.
No, because you go there to not follow the rules.
Yes. Yeah.
No one's following. No one's having a good time at the if there's bad shit going on in those motels.
The frame of mind he must have been in to feel the need to do that about you and your.
Well, maybe because he knew what was going to happen.
I mean, I think that he had a sense for it. It was tingling in his butthole what was about to transpire there. He smelled the Riz on me as I walked in. I don't think that he was just skeptical because I was a little red-eyed walking in because I'd had some beers and a little weed before I got there. But no, he definitely was suspicious and thoroughly explained all of the rules of the motel, including no guest. I am the only person to be in there, and explained that if I broke the rules, I could be kicked out.
Oh, so you checked in under the guise that it was literally just going to be you in there.
Yeah, like I think
he fucking knew you were lying. No one's going alone.
He completely knew from the get-go that we were going to be up to some fucking shit. But, in my mind, I was like, oh, it's just going to be like, a few people drinking beer in a fucking motel. Like, it's not going to be that fucking crazy. We're in Medford. There's probably some really bad shit going on the other side of the fucking. We can't be the ones here. But
now they cleaned up the place, and then yeah.
Okay, so end up going into the room after this dude just fucking grills me with the rules, and I tell him that it was just going to be like me and my girlfriend staying in the room. The guy Steve comes up, and then this girl Sharon that has the short bus that she's converted to live in. She's still in her bus, so we're all hanging out in the room. We're like, oh, that girl's not here. We should go tell her that we're checked in the room. So I go down, I knock on her bus, and she's in there playing the accordion, and takes a very long time to actually stop playing accordion and come and open the door, which I thought was strange. I was like, hey, we checked in. This is the room number. Like, come hang out. And she was like, yeah, I'll be there in like 10, 15 minutes. She eventually shows up, and we all just start hanging out, and it's just fine. We're all just kind of bullshitting, drinking beer, joking around. And this girl Sharon, like I said, she's very tall and lanky, but she's definitely got a bit of a wild personality. So she starts fucking around with Steve, where she just starts kind of like just roasting him here or there, and then she just started like kind of wrestling with him at one point. She literally just like got on top of him, pinned him down, like sat on him and farted on him. Which, it was amusing at the time. We are all fucking fucked up and just hanging out. And we're like, yeah, she just farted on this dude. Fuck that guy. So that was the start of her behavior starting to turn a bit when she farted. But yeah, she just generally was fairly normal, definitely just being goofy, but she just gradually just started slipping into like having these little mood swings that didn't make a lot of sense. She kind of would slip into like a pseudo dominatrixy sort of persona at times. And we all thought that was a little weird, but we thought she was just being funny. So yeah, there was just a point where, like my girlfriend and I were also like, we're in an open relationship. We're weirdos like that. So there was just a moment when she's doing the dominatrixy thing where we're just kind of like, is this going to turn into us fucking this girl? Are we going to have a threesome with this chick? Because this is getting weird, but maybe in a good way. So okay. And so then my girlfriend and I were at some points discussing being like, are we going to have to kick those other two out of the fucking room to bang? Because we're going to do that if that's what's happening.
Start looking around. How many cuck chairs does this Motel 6 have?
I think probably only one.
You would have had to go up to the front desk guy now. Like, I swear, dude, it's just for the two of us.
It's just me and my girl. We just need more chairs.
We need more chairs.
We just
I
really
can't
like
explain
out.
it, but it's technically not breaking any of the rules that have been established. Please don't charge anything extra to my credit card.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, she just kind of has these little moments where she was just kind of like jokingly seems like kind of bossy in a sexual sort of manner, but it just seemed like it was a routine that she was doing. There's a point where I was like, I'm gonna go out to the car and grab more cigarettes, and she's like, oh, I'll go with you. And on the way down to the car, like she said something about, she was like, oh, like I wonder if there's like any drugs. And I was like, well, I know we have weed up there. And then she was just like, she said something like, nah, I mean, I'm talking about something else. And I was like, what? And she was just like, huh? And that was kind of the end of that conversation. She just kind of just like followed me to the car as I got my cigarettes, insinuated that she wanted to do other drugs. When I questioned her about what she was talking about drug-wise, she kind of just played it off like she didn't say it. But anywho, we got back up to the room, and it all continues the same sort of shit. We're all just kind of fucking around. She ends up getting particularly flirty with Megan, and there's just a moment where she is looking like she's like trying to get fresh with her, and then she comes up behind Megan and starts like rubbing her tits and just like whispering in her ear seductively. And me being in an open relationship and having the possibility of being like, well, maybe we're all gonna bang. I was like, okay, cool. Well, that's promising. So at one point, yeah, I'm sitting on the bed like next to where they are. I just look over. And it's not like I'm just like jaws on the fucking floor staring. But yeah, I just look. And then the chick just stops and she turns to me and she just slaps me across the face hard as shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And everyone else in the room was like, what the fuck was that? Calm the fuck down. That shit. And then she was just like, oh, yeah, sorry. And then she just like sat down on the ground and she was like looking. I was sitting on the bed. She was on the ground. She was like looking up at me with these very kind of sweet eyes and just like, just kind of like fidgeting around like in a sort of cutesy way. And then she just went back to being like pretty normal and sweet. And then she got back up and proceeded to try and seduce Megan some more. She was basically going in to kiss Megan, but when Megan went to kiss her back, she just started whipping her head around like a snake and just being like, I want to look into your soul when you kiss me. I want to look into your eyes and just know what's in your soul when you kiss me. And that was the point where I was like, there is something severely up with this chick. This chick is fucking weird as shit. she's probably borderline schizophrenic or on drugs or both. And that was my first indicator when she started talking about wanting to see her soul. That, yeah, there was just something off about it. So, yeah, that they didn't end up kissing, but there's the weird fucking snakeheady thing. It just got weird. But it ended up just going back to just more just like beer drinking and bullshitting after a bit. And then it ended up where she was laying on the bed next to me, and she seemed like she was kind of like interested in me at that point. And my girlfriend Megan was just like, you could kiss him if you want. And at that moment, she jumped on top of me, pinned me down, grabbed me by my beard hair, and then started squeezing my nose shut and just screaming, fucking take it, you little bitch, you fucking like it, you fucking like it, you fucking like it, you little bitch. And then at that point, everyone in the room, other than me, because I had this fucking full-grown woman on top of me, they all get up and pull her off of me, and they're like, yo, Darren, that is not cool. Like, he is not into that. Do not fucking do that. And then at that point, Sharon was just like, calm down again. And I think she went to go out to her fucking bus. She went out to her bus and got her accordion and brought it back into the room and started playing accordion. Then we all proceeded to go,
of course,
outside the room to smoke cigarettes while she played accordion by herself in the room. And when we're all out front smoking, we're like, all right, this bitch is fucking crazy. We need to get her the fuck out of here. This is clearly getting really weird. Like, let's just tell her that we're all about to go to sleep. So we all
pretend that we're sleeping, man. She'll fall for it. Yeah. Don't move.
So we all agree.
Moving.
We all agree that we're just going to tell her that we're all really tired and we're about to go to bed and get her the fuck out. So we go in and we tell her that, you know, we're going to sleep. And she's like, oh, that's cool. I ought to, you know, hit the hay soon myself. I guess I'll get out of here.
Did she say hit the hay? Do you remember if that's actually
I
what
don't
she
remember.
said?
At this point, I was fairly drunk and stoned. She just said like she was going to go to bed as well. She's like, I'm going to go sleep in my bus.
As you do.
And as she picks up her coat and she starts walking towards the door. And then she randomly just picks up my cigarettes and Lindsay's cell phone off of the dresser and then just takes off out the fucking door. So then we send Lindsay out. We're like, Lindsay, go get our fucking shit. Why the fuck is this chick even here? Like, who the fuck is this person? And she's just like, I don't know. Like, I just met her a couple times at the other fucking trim spot. Like, I never really like talked to her that much. Like, yeah, she's fucking seems pretty crazy. But Lindsay ends up getting our stuff back from her, throws it back up to us because we're on the second floor. So she throws it back up to us, and then we close the fucking door once Lindsay gets back in. We're like, all right, that was fucking weird. And then the chick fucking Sharon comes back and starts knocking on the door. And for some reason, Lindsay like opens the door, and then Sharon barges in the fucking room and then just starts arguing with everyone about fucking complete nonsense. Complete like manic fucking episode bullshit. And then as everyone in the room's just like, you need to get the fuck out of here. You need to leave. Like this, we're trying to go to sleep. Like you're acting fucking insane. Get the fuck out of here. So then she's like, all right, I'll fucking leave. And then once again, she walks towards the door. And as she's right next to the door, Lindsay's standing at the door, holding the door open for her. She turns and just pins Lindsay to the wall by her throat and just starts choking her out. So then at this point, the dude Steve and I both jumped up and grabbed this chick Sharon off of her. And then we start trying to wrestle her out of the fucking room. And as we're doing this, she starts screaming. She keeps calling us bitch N-words repeatedly. She's a...
Oh, no.
Yeah. She's a lanky, white, hippie looking chick. So she's screaming that at us repeatedly.
But it's Oregon, so she's also racist.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's
olive
fucking...
oil.
flipping the fuck out, and Steve and I are both trying with all of our fucking strength to get her out of the fucking room, and like she had fucking crazy meth fucking strength, like it was insane. She literally was gripping on the fucking door frame, and while she like that's how she was holding herself on, and fucking Steve and I were both trying to pull her out by her legs, and at one point I had walked back towards the front of her where I think I was trying to grab her by the shoulders and like tumble her out of the room. And I just felt this crazy pressure on my leg. And I looked down and she's just biting the shit out of the fucking calf. And like through my pants, she is just biting the ever loving shit out of my leg. So then I start kicking her in the fucking head because I'm being bitten by a crazy person. And then it gets back to the point where we get her to stop biting me. We get out front. We're still trying to yank her out from the doorframe, ripping all of her clothes off while this is happening too. She's literally tearing off all of her clothing while screaming, while these two dudes are fucking trying to pull her out of a fucking motel room. And people in the lower parking lot start looking at me like, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing? And then
yeah, it's not a good look on you guys.
No, it looked terrible.
You're not really adhering to the rules.
That's the worst thing about this, man.
It's the
You really let
worst
that
thing
dude
you've
down.
done.
Yeah, so they see two dudes fucking like trying to drag a naked woman out of a fucking room, kicking and screaming.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was fucking wild. So we're just like, we need to get the fuck out of here. At that point, she's still fucking just gripping the door frame. I get in front of her, I try and grab her leg again, and she kicks me right in the fucking nose with her boot, and then blood just starts fucking spewing everywhere. I'm just fucking dripping blood, but then Steve and I are still just fucking yanking her out. We finally get her out of the fucking room, close the door, and then we're trying to basically escort her down the walkway towards the stairs to be like, get the fuck out. But she's fucking fighting us. Lindsay comes back out of the room, and then the chick Sharon gets loose again and then starts choking Lindsay again. She pins her against the wall again, starts choking her. So then at this point, fucking Steve literally just runs up and just cocks back, and he's just like, should I? And I was like, this chick is clearly like not mentally well. Like, I don't think that we should like try and just knock her the fuck out. Like, this is insane, but like we were trying to do the right thing, being like, this person is clearly not in a great state of mind. Like, let's try and not resort to violence if we can avoid it. So yeah, I basically told him not to punch this crazy person in the face. And then she just continued fighting to the point where, she started punching me. She started scratching. I fucking ended up with fucking scratches all over my face. She scratched Steve. And ended up getting to the point where we finally got her off of fucking Lindsay. Lindsay went back in the room. And then I was so done with that point that like I was like, Steve, do whatever the fuck you gotta do, man. So he literally just grabbed her by her fucking hair from the back of her head and then just fucking yanked her back and just walked her to the steps and just pushed her down the fucking steps.
Oh, fuck. Did she? What happened?
She goes flying down the fucking steps, and then we all fucking run back in the room, lock the fucking door, turn out all the lights. We're like, she's fucked up. Hopefully she can figure out what room we're in.
So let's forget.
Yes. Because, at that point, we're like, she's lost it. Like, she probably doesn't even know which room it is. So, at that point, we're watching her from a little slither behind the curtain, and she's just running around the parking lot of this Motel 6, just screaming, bitch N-word, fuck you, bitches, where's my shit? And then she proceeds to walk around the property and start banging and kicking on every single fucking room door. And she went to the entire first floor and then came to the fucking second floor and went every fucking door. So then at that point, I think Lindsay, being naive as fuck again, she somehow opened the door and was like, Sharon, you need to get the fuck out of here. And Sharon was like, you got my fucking accordion, bitch. So then Steve chucks the fucking accordion out at her. Like he's fucking throwing a basketball at her. It hits her in the chest, she grabs it, and then she literally takes her accordion, turns around, and just throws it off the fucking second floor fucking balcony. It smashes in the fucking parking lot of this Motel 6. And then there's people in the parking lot just horrified, just onlooking, you know? Because she just knocked on every fucking door in the fucking motel. So
And then she smashed her own accordion?
She threw her own accordion and smashed it.
Oh man, I would love to know what an accordion sounds like after being thrown from a balcony.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, at this point she smashed the accordion, and then we look out the window and see that the police have fucking arrived. We were like, all right, fuck. So then she runs back down the parking lot. The cops start trying to talk to her, and this was also shortly after the fucking George Floyd stuff, and just a lot more out in the open about police being overly forceful. And it was fresh. So we're all in the room. We're like, fuck, the cops might fucking kill her. Like, she is mentally unwell right now. She's having some sort of crazy episode. She might get shot in the fucking face. So then Megan proceeds to go out as the police are trying to talk to her, and she's just being fucking belligerent as shit. She's just running around the parking lot screaming. She's calling everyone bitch N-words. And Megan goes out to try and talk to the cops and be like, look, I think that she's schizophrenic or possibly on drugs. Like, she just attacked us. We're not trying to press charges, but like, we just want to get this over with and get her the fuck out of here. So the police like go to her. They're basically trying to detain her. They try and get her to sit down so they can talk to her, but she just won't. So they're trying to get forceful with her. They try and cuff her. She breaks away from two cops that are basically trying to get her cuffed, and then runs up to the second floor fucking balcony once again, and then starts screaming, just kill me, bitch. Kill me, motherfucker. Fuck you, you pig-ass bitches. Bitch M-words, bitch M-words. Fucking kill me. Let me fucking die. And then she goes to jump off of the fucking balcony. She goes to fucking dive off a thing head first. And literally as she went over the rail, the cop just caught her leg in time, where he just had her dangling by her fucking leg. And she's flailing and just trying to break loose and screaming, fucking kill me, bitch M-word. Fucking kill me. Just fucking kill me, you dumb pig. Let me go, fucking kill me. The police end up they had maybe 3 other officers come. They all fucking pull her back over. They managed to like get her down to the first floor once again in the parking lot. They get her cuffed. At this point, she's laying face down on the parking lot, and Megan's just there, just being like, "Calm down, it's okay. Like, you're not well," and just telling the police like, "Don't hurt her. Like, she's clearly unwell. Like, we just need to have this situation over with." And then the police are like, "We're taking her in." And at that point, once they finally stood her up to put her in the car, she started struggling really hard again. She broke free again, started fucking running, and then 3 other cops needed to get involved. So literally it took about 6 police officers to get her into the fucking back of the car. So they finally get her in and leave. And then that fucking scenario is finally over, and we're all just like, holy shit, that was fucking insane. We should go to fucking bed right now because we're all drunk and traumatized. Like, this is fucked up. And then within 2 minutes of closing the room door again and just being like, that was fucking wild, it's the fucking dude that checked us into the hotel. And he was just like, hey, so I told you no guest, remember? And I'm bleeding profusely from my face. And we're all just like, look, we were just attacked. And he was like, yeah, I told you no guests. And I was just like, look, that person wasn't really with us. She followed us here. Like, we didn't really know. And he was like, I don't give a fuck. I said no guests. You need to get the fuck out. And we were like, but we're really drunk. Like, where do we go? And he was like, I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of here. So we got kicked out of the motel, and then we drove to the trim spot where this chick had been trimming. Left her car out front of there, and then in the very early morning had to inform her friends at that fucking trim spot that she was in jail and she had attacked the fuck out of all of us. Yeah. Yeah, that's the gist of it.
And what rule did you not follow that you since put in place about going to outings while trimming?
Just don't go to outings while trimming. Yeah, that was kind of a rule that I learned. This was literally the start of my West Coast adventure. It was maybe my second time being on the West Coast, really, and at the time I thought it was gonna be a goofy, silly adventure. I was gonna get weird and have fun, and that was just by
weird.
It did get weird, and you had a little fun.
It was traumatizing, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And what happened with that bite mark? Because I recall it looking pretty gnarly when I got there.
Oh, it got severely infected.
Oh, jeez.
I sent Connor the photograph of the bite the next morning. So this is probably about 6 hours after I got the bite that this photo is from, as you'll see later. But
yeah, I showed it to Nick earlier too.
It's
yeah, that was a matter of hours after the incident.
That is atomic.
Yes. I also want to point out that this is maybe like less than a week before, like I was about to leave a few days after this.
Yeah.
To drive to Oregon to join you guys. And I get this text. I think it's not important to the story where I was. I think I was like in Costco.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this emotional roller coaster of a series of text messages. And you know, and then you were like, yeah, so I think that the thing here is to just never leave the farm. And I will say, when I then joined you and we had some similar, but albeit not as crazy adventures, it was always because we did not follow that rule.
Yeah. It was just whenever we left the farm and met other human beings. If we left the farm and did our own thing, we were fine.
Yeah.
But the social aspect of it was dangerous and stupid.
Yep. Follow the golden rule.
But I'm glad that this episode is going to follow the one where we hear Dirty D's side of some other incidents that occurred that you were also witness to.
Yeah. I can send you the bug picture if you want to pepper that back in.
Oh, yeah. Let's pepper that in.
I have the bug picture on deck.
It's good. Oh, man. Nick, are we out of time?
We are going to run out of time very quickly. So thank you, Kevin. That is a fucking crazy ass, exhausting, and surprisingly dark story.
So what I was saying, before the PC police shut us down, is the Zoom cops, is we should have Dirty D, you, and Megan, and we'll all have a panel discussion sometime about some of the things that happened in Oregon, some of the sick, twisted things.
I mean, I'm game for that, because there was a lot of sick, twisted things.
What a weird time to be alive, huh?
Well, it was a very weird time to be alive, especially for Sonny the dog.
Sorry about these inside references, Nick.
Yeah, you just don't get the references.
You didn't go through the trauma bonding, the month-and-a-half-long trauma bonding session that we all did.
That's okay.
We climbed Friendship Mountain. We got to the top, and we took a long gaze.
Wow.
At the land before us.
I'll absorb your
we sure did.
Trauma by proxy.
Yeah.
Trauma by proxy.
Yeah, we also hung a lot of dong.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you hung dogs. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
No. There's we don't have time to get into that. There's stories that do involve dogs that we're going to save for another time, because I don't want to. It's nothing. And now let me be clear. Just even
Michael
though I'm
Vick
probably
over here.
we're gonna. Oh God.
Connor, right now you're up here. I'm gonna need you way down.
I'm gonna bring it down. Yeah, how is this?
That's what I say to my kids. I'm like, Roberto,
I need you here, man. You're up here.
Buddy. Hey, buddy. You're here. I need you here, buddy.
No one actually did anything to any dog. There were just incidents involving.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that as far as we know,
Allegedly, there was
conversationally involving dogs.
conversations.
And and incidents that led some of the most uncomfortable situations I've been in my entire life. That because there were also possibly gnolls, which are dog people. We saw one of those too, a dog person.
Yes.
At a horrible ketamine-fueled party in Grants Pass.
Oh man, that's several illegal crime stories you alluded to in just that one sentence.
There were many illegal crimes that went on in Southern Oregon.
It sounds like this
the whole
sub-series.
Yeah, no, we should just have a whole panel discussion about our trimmigrant stories.
It could be a play on Oregon Trail, Oregon Tales.
I like that. Yeah.
That doesn't really make. It's not Oregon Trails. It's Oregon Trail.
I mean, even you were committing some illegal crimes here or there. I mean, I believe you were.
I did nothing wrong the whole time.
You were, putting your little fingers in the cookie jar here or there. Maybe,
I think.
Maybe getting that little candy bar from the gas station you didn't pay for.
You may remember that Father Daddy at one point told me that I had done nothing wrong and that he was proud of me.
Well, I mean, he did say that. He was like, Connor, you were the most perfect person I have ever met. And I just want you to continue being the most perfect individual who's never done anything wrong.
Nick, there's a moment where it was me, Kevin, and Dirty D from the last episode. We were at this aforementioned party, this horrible party that like started off with there was this weird coke dealer who was like telling us his whole story. The whole point of the story he was telling was that he met a black person.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of weird white bread like.
For the record, he got props from a black person, okay?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. And It was a huge moment in his life, evidently.
Yes.
His weird Oregon life. He had a hat on that's like a gas station hat that said dope with a weed leaf, I want to say. Anyway,
That's sick. That's
the
sick.
party, Nick, I was so uncomfortable at this party. And mind you, I was like 2 years sober at this time. The party was so uncomfortable, and I'm not a smoker, that I started smoking Camel Crushes.
You were puffing on them cigs.
Because I was so uncomfortable, I needed something to do, and I got very sick. I got sick.
Dude, he crushed it.
Man, it's like how many crushes did you have? How much menthol did you intake?
I don't know. How many pots have you smoked? Like, just could one even answer that?
How many pots you
Look, I mean, they say that there's no two people alike, but like, how do they really know that? Like, you would have to take every person in history and put them in a room, and there's no way.
It's not even possible. Oregon sounds terrible.
It is. It truly is.
No, it's a beautiful state. But there's some weird. Look, Oregon is why you don't just leave white people with just other white people, which is actually fun fact. Not fun, a awful reality. That is why that state was formed.
Yes.
And that is the byproduct of that is you get some weird bullshit. There's hippies and like right-wing libertarian militia types, but they all are really into drugs and they're all anti-vax and like there's ketamine and they're huffing paint. It's
there's
a
chicks that collect hella erasers there too.
Oh, hell erasers, dog.
Dude, this shit was straight
gas.
Bro.
It sounds like if there was ever a argument to be made for heterogeneous cultures, it would be Oregon.
There's too many white people. Just get rid of them.
Genetic diversity. Case study. Look at Oregon. There ain't none. Look what it got you.
A lot of white people with dreads.
Oh, man.
Names like Sonny and Sage.
Who are also racist.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we tackled a lot of good topics. I mean, we really got to the bottom of, just racism, probably even some other R words that I can't even think of right now.
Rizzism. We've kind of just started to dive into Rizzism because it's a newer thing. It's kind of just evolved recently, but a lot of the kids that are just down with the Riz, they're starting to get a little more radicalized, and they've created this Rizzism, and I think that we really need to start addressing this sort of thing because not everyone has the same amount of Riz, and that doesn't make you inherently better or smarter than anyone.
Yes. We need to address the Riz gap in our schools, in our office workplaces.
It's the Rizzonomics of the whole factor is what we're getting into here.
Yes, and we really need to talk about, anti-Riz bias that's implicit in our structural systems. It is terrible. It is. I think this is the Rizzonomics of it.
Yeah.
Quite baffling.
Yeah.
Quite baffling.
Oh, I can't believe how many times we said Riz.
I'm sorry I didn't say it more within my actual stories.
Any idea what happened to that individual?
I know that the city of Medford actually pressed charges on her. Megan received a call maybe like 6 months ago from the city of Medford asking if she could be a witness for their case against her and do like a Zoom fucking court hearing meeting with them.
3 years later?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What did she say?
She declined. I mean, as traumatic as that situation was, like, that chick was not mentally well. Like, there's probably some drug use involved. Yeah, I definitely think she was probably like smoking meth in her fucking little hippie bus.
Yeah.
But regardless, like, she did not know what was happening, and then the word on the street was that when she woke up the next day and had no recollection of what happened, didn't know where she was. Yeah. So yeah, no,
she might have had pertussis.
I think that she did, honestly, because she was whooping and coughing a whole lot.
She had that whooping cough.
She had a particular whoop to, the way she pronounced things, and I'm pretty sure that it was Long Pertussis. It's another thing that we just don't really address much these days, but Long Pertussis is an epidemic.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because today's sponsor is the Long Pertussis Foundation. If you click in the link, if you click on the link of this podcast, you will find a link to their Definitely Real website where you can donate money. And if it says something like 7-Eleven Boys Patreon, that's just their tax name, for tax purposes. It's really the Long Pertussis Foundation. So give as much as you can to them.
I've heard that if you make a certain amount of donation, up to $50 or more, you will receive some sort of 7-Eleven brand baking soda as a thank you gift.
No, because there is none, because they don't make it, they don't sell it, they don't carry it. And we're not talking about this today.
It is made, but I believe that it no longer is on shelves in stores anymore.
No, there's plenty to go around. There's not.
There's not.
For the Long Pertussis thank you gifts.
We'll see about that.
Also, Kevin, it's no big deal that you're not a member of the Patreon. It's totally fine. No big deal. Don't worry about it. We're not talking about the fucking baking soda again.
Because
you're not
doing
it.
Because
I know that I'm right. Because I'm right. They don't carry it.
I think we really need to get back to the bigger picture of the implications of Rizzism and Long Pertussis. Okay.
All right. I think we should leave it
away from the important points here.
To be continued. Long Pertussis kills, probably.
7,
Been nice Rizzing with you.
Nice
Rizzing. Yeah. May the Riz be with you.
And also with you.
All right.
Riz out.